Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to understand how to calculate the value of the bond. This is an important topic, and for at first stage we will be trying to know what actually bonds are. We have already uh, taken the concept of bonds. Topic is how to calculate the value of bonds. As you have seen, when we want to have investment from outside as an organization, we need funds. For that purpose, you have two options. If you can arrange all the resources required by yourself, it is called equity financing. And when you are taking investment from outsiders, this is called debt financing. And when you have taken this investment as a loan, if you have taken this investment as a loan, it is called debt financing. In case of debt financing, what you will do, you will issue or you will write the terms and condition upon a simple paper where you will write that how much amount has been taken as loan, how much interest would be paid, for how much number of years you have taken this loan. So different detail regarding that loan would be written upon the paper. And when you will take amount in real figures, when you will take the amount from the public as a loan, in return you will issue that paper upon which your promise had been written, you will issue that paper. This paper is called bond, nothing else. So when your investor will take this bond, it would depend upon him whether he wants to retain this bond by himself or he can sell this bond as well. This is the first thing. Now he wants to know how much the value of this bond is at first stage, and he wants to know that how much sale value he can get from public if he is going to sell it. And uh, for both purposes, if you want to know the value of this bond according to organization, or if you want to know the value of this bond according to the investor point of view, in both ways value of bond is very important for us. So we are going to calculate this value. For this purpose, there are few factors which you should have in your mind. The very first thing is the face value of bond. Hopefully you understand what is bond and how we will and why we are going to calculate the value of the bond. Face value is actual value which is written upon that paper. We will denote it by just writing face. This is the first thing you should have in your mind. Like when a person had given you, you are an organization and you have taken loan from an outsider, he had provided you 1000 rupees, and upon a paper you are admitting it that you have received 1000. You will put the date, you will put the duration for how many years you have taken this loan, you will put the interest rate which you will be providing to your investor, and other details of name etc you will be writing upon that paper, and you will admit that value of that bond which is written upon the paper would be 1000. The value which is written upon the paper is called face value of the bond. Here try to understand that if your organization is very strong, value of that bond is 1000, it is called face value, and your organization's reputation or goodwill is very strong, it may be possible this organization can issue that bond for the price which is more than a face price. For example, face price is 1000, but they are issuing this bond for rupees 1200. It means it's the value which is more than the face value. It would be called issue at premium. This would be called issued at premium. And the next thing which you need to know is it may be possible the value of that bond is 1000 and organization is not ready to sell it for more price or for less price. They are selling it for 1000. So it means you are issuing this bond at what price? As you know, issue at par it would be called. And it may be possible the value of that bond is 1000, but reputation of your company is not as great as you think, so nobody is ready to invest in your company. So what will happen, they will provide you less than 1000. For example, 900 they are providing, but the bond which you are issuing, that means the paper which you are writing, upon that paper you will write 1000. So receiving 900 from the public but writing as 1000. So it is not in favor of your company, but sometimes you need your finances and you have to do it. It is called issue at discount. So please keep it in mind when you are taking loan from public. The paper which you will provide to your investor, upon that paper value of the bonds would be written. This is called face value. Let's say the value written upon the paper is 1000. You have issued that for 1200. Your organization is very strong. People wants to invest in your company. People wants to give loan to your company or organization, but you don't want to get loan. For what you will take advantage of this situation, 1000 you will write upon the paper, but will receive 1200 from public, issued at premium, issued at par, issued at discount, we have explained. And this concept is purely associated with the value of bond. This is what we are going to understand. First thing, we have seen face value, and then the second thing which you should know is required rate of return. We can denote it with small r. Required rate of return is what public, when investing, they will be having an expectation from that particular bond. Whatever they want to get, whatever output they want to get from that bond is called a required rate of return. Right now, you just understand it is the willingness of investor that he wants to get how much rate from that. This is required rate of return. We will explain in another chapter deeply. Right now, just understand how much rate an investor wants to get from the bond is called required rate of return. It would be denoted with the small r. So what we have discussed, face value and required rate of return. Then we will come to know amount of interest. Interest amount. We will denote it with int in the question. And how would you calculate this amount of interest? For that, you will see the face value of the bond, and next thing you will understand the coupon interest rate. For this, the second concept is coupon interest rate. This would be given in your question, coupon interest rate, and you can calculate the amount of interest. We will go back. We were calculating amount of interest. Face value would be given in the question, and you will be multiplying it with coupon interest rate, the rate which is used to calculate the interest. For example, your investor had provided you 1000 as an amount. So what promise you have made to him? Obviously, it's a loan. Interest would be given to your investor. At what rate of interest you will provide that amount of interest is called coupon interest rate. And amount of interest, how would you calculate? The face value. Always use the face value, and then you will multiply the coupon interest rate. It would be given in your question. So what we have done, first we have seen the face value, then we have seen the required rate of return, then we have seen interest rate, and then we have seen amount of interest which would be calculating. And last but not the least, very important, is the duration. For how much time you have taken loan, and you may choose another place. All right. So number 6, importantly, is duration or time period. Normally, this duration would be given in terms of year. You will write N as a symbol. So these 6 Elements are important. I suggest you to pause video over here and read all the inputs again. What is face value? What is required rate of return? What is amount of interest? Number 4. And finally, you are getting number 5, which was duration. Duration is number of years. The loan which you will take, you will have to decide first for how much time you have taken this loan. Now come over here, you can see here all inputs are present. Read this question and we are going to put these inputs to find out our formula. First of all, we will write the formula. This formula will have 3 parts. So you must be very cool and calm to understand this formula. We will put bracket first to complete our first part, and this part will include 2 elements, numerator and denominator. So kindly understand what we are going to do. We are actually calculating value of bonds, and how you would calculate. This is the formula for the calculation. First part you will write the face value over here, and as we have decided that face value, word face will represent the face value of the bond, and then in denominator bracket start 1 plus small r required rate of return and raised to power n number of years. So this is your first part of the formula, and then you will start your second part, and in between first and second part you will put the sign add. Again you will follow the same procedure. You will be putting brackets on both sides of second part of your question, and numerator and denominator you will decide. And here what you will do, you will write the amount of interest. As we have discussed, interest would be calculated and it would be divided by simple small r. Second part is completed, and then you will be multiplying. In formula you will be multiplying, and here the third part of your formula will start. As usual, you will put brackets on both sides. Here you can see for third part we are preparing our formula, and all formulas are having the same pattern. Here you can see you have first part and second part and now third part. On third part you will write 1 on denominator, and you will have to increase over here something. You will start a small bracket, you will write 1 and then minus, and then you will start your third part of the question. Here I am adjusting this formula. So please understand, though it has a little length, but importantly procedure is very similar. You have calculated amounts or values for so many formulas in previous lectures. Everything is same, but its drawing is little different. Writing procedure is different. Again you will put 1 plus r and raised to power n. So this is your formula having 3 parts, and you need to understand it at first stage, and secondly you should know how to put values over here. So this way you will complete your formula. One another thing, we are going to put a small bracket so that we can understand it in a better way. Okay, so this formula is completed in that way. Please understand this is your first part, and then you will add your second part. But for second part you have 2 different ways to calculate. Interest over r is your second part, and 1 minus 1 over 1 plus r raised to power n we haven't put. This is your third part of the formula. In this way it would be completed. Now let's see, here is our question, and we will read this question and put the values in the formula. First, you can see over here is 1000 par value. So what we have, its face value, and that is to be written as face, and it is 1000, which is given in the question. So first thing, we have concluded the face value. Okay, we are not writing over here. This will be used for something else. So first thing, face value is 1000, then come over here and see what else is given. 8% coupon interest rate. This is to calculate the amount of interest, and you know how to calculate interest. For this, you will take face value and will multiply with coupon. So let's calculate its interest. What you will write, face value is 1000, write down over here, and then you will multiply with coupon interest rate. You can see over here 8% is coupon interest rate. 8% mean 8 divided by 100, and you will write 0.08 over here. Now let's see what on calculator you will do. 1000 and it would be multiplied with 0.08. So you have got amount of interest as well. Highlight it because it will be used in your formula. First, you have calculated face value, highlight it. Secondly, you have calculated amount of interest, highlight it. Two values we have seen, and now let's see what is next. The bond has 12 years remaining to in maturity. It means duration is also given in the question, which is n, and given as 12. So that means n is also the input. Next is find the value of the bond when required rate return is 7%. Required rate of return we have already seen, and it was R. And how much value of required rate return in first part, it is 7%. That means 7 divided by 100, or you may call it 0.07. Alright guys, every part of this question, every input of this question we have written. It's time to put these values in our formula. Again, we will use the same formula, same pattern, same procedure to write down the values. So what we will do, we will erase a formula written in English and we'll put the value. The very first thing is face value. How much face value you can see over here? This is 1000. So put 1000 over here. Now next is bracket start 1, then plus, and R required rate of return here you can see is 0.07. Put 0.07 over here. Close your bracket. Put raised to power. Raised to power is what you can see over here, raised to power n, number of years, and number of year is 12, you can see over here. So put 12. In this way, first part of the formula is completed. This was 12. I was willing to let you know again, the bond has 12 years remaining. So part 1 of the formula, we have replaced values over here. Next plus would be as it is, amount of interest. And here you have calculated amount of interest, which is 80. Put over here. Downward you need to write down required rate, which is 0.07. Write down 0.07 over here. Second part is completed. Next part you will multiply, bracket open, 1 minus, it is fixed element, no need to change, you will write as it is. 1 again is a fixed element, no need to change it. And downward bracket start 1 plus R. R is what you can see over here, 0.07. It is 0.07. Then close your bracket. Raised to power. You can see what is raised to power, n. N is 12. Alright, so this way you have completed of putting input in your formula as well. So what I will do right now, I will going to calculate this whole formula over here, and what you will do, you will use your calculators. what I was saying, I will write all of the amounts of three parts in one formula. So it's time to understand it more closely. The very first thing is your first bracket, and you will write 1000. Please focus upon here. This is 1000 and it is divided by your bracket open. 1 plus 0.07 mean 1.07 bracket closed, and raised to power 12 you need to write it. So this way you have completed first part of the question. Okay, and then you will add, put sign of add, open your bracket again, but since there are two parts after this, so I have put two brackets. In first bracket you will write 80. It would be divided by, you can see over here, 0.07. Bracket will be closed, and then you need to multiply. Put sign of multiply, bracket open, 1 minus. We are following this part. In between second and third part of the formula, this is multiply, bracket open, 1 minus. And then again you will open the bracket, and what is written over here, 1, and it is divided by 1.07, bracket closed, and raised to power 12. Then you will close your bracket. So I have written all the three parts once. You may calculate in separate way, calculate answer of first part, calculate answer of second part, or calculate answer of third part, and then add or multiply accordingly. But please follow this formula. You can stop your video over here if you want to write this formula at once. So what you will do, you will write in this way. Please copy it. Take a screenshot. This way you will be understanding it well, how you will write the same three-part formula at once. Is it clear? And now let's get the answer. This would be your answer, 1079, and this formula is actually be the value of bond. Is equal to is very crucial. It cannot be used easily in Excel, so we can write direct value of bond. All right, so please try to understand the formula, try to understand how to write this in these inputs upon calculator, and how to get the value. What actually we have done, this was your value of the bond. First part of the formula we have solved 7%, and then you will apply 8%, and then you will apply 10%. I have little ease. What I can do, I can copy over here, and instead of 7% I can write 8%, but it's not suitable for you because you will be writing upon paper, and when you will use the paper it would not be possible to copy paste. So first part is completed. I will go to the B part and we'll just change the percentage. Here we were using 7% and next percentage is 8%. So you will replace 7 with 8. Again in second part, wherever you have used 7%, you will convert into 8%. In third part, you have also used 7%, convert it into 8. So formula for the B part is also mentioned over here. And now again I have calculated the values, and I will use the same values over here but with a twist. Here what you will do, you will change your rate. Wherever you have used 7%, just change it with 8%. In first part we have changed 7% with 8, second part we have changed 7% with 8, and in third part we have changed 8%. So in this way you have got your value for the B part. It is 1000. So what we have done, 7% and 8% is completed. Again I am taking a shorthand, please don't mind. It would be little hectic for you because you will have to write whole formula again, and this formula will be posted again for the C part. I haven't written the formula, and I always suggest you, whenever you are calculating your formula, you will have to write the initial formula as well. So what we will do, we are going to write this formula again for second part. Okay, so this way your B part is completed, and what you are going to do next is to calculate your C part. Let me set it first, and due to some elements. Alright, so B part is completed, and you are now going to calculate your C part. And again for C part, whatever is written in B part I will pick, just will change. This was our formula. I am picking this formula and using it for calculation of third part. The only thing I will change, look at this was your question, and the third option is to use 10% rate of interest. So come over here in the formula, and wherever 8% is written, you will write 10%. 10% divided, 10% means 10 divided by 100, which means 0.1. 0 will not be used. So first part is edited. Now in second part, instead of 8%, you will be writing 10%. In third part, you will just change your percentage and will write 10%. Formula is also completed. Here we have put this formula. We will hire the same calculated statement and will write over here, will change 8%. Here you have written 8% and you will replace it with 10% by writing 0.1. 0.08 again, you will erase it, will write 10%, and for third you will erase it and will write 10%. This way you have calculated your third value. This is value of the bond. Again for C part, value of bond, and this is also your value of bond for second part, and above we have calculated value for A part, which is 1079. So please take screenshot of all these. Here you have calculated your A part. This is your B part and its answer 1000. A part's answer is 1079, B part answer is 1000, and C part answer is 863. So here you have completed your answer, and in second part of your question we have indicated each case in part A whether the bond is selling at discount, at premium, or at par value. It's easy. You can see over here we have already discussed, if you have issued your bond at 1000 and market value of this bond is 1200, it would be called premium. If it is equal, it would call par value. When it is the value of the bond is less than face value, it would be called issue at discount. So you can have your answer of B part over here. We can edit. Value of this bond is what? This would be called at par. Why? Because face value was 1000 and value of the bond, again what we have calculated, is 1000. In third case, face value was 1000, but the value which you have calculated is 863. It means this is at discount. And in A part, go and see, this is value of bond you have calculated, but it is more than 1000, so it means it is at premium. So B part you have also calculated. Next is using 10% required rate of return, find the value when interest is paid semi-annually. Semi-annually means you will calculate it for 6 months. Please keep it in mind, required rate is 10%, and you are going to calculate semi-annually. Semi-annually is also called biannually. Biannually means 6 months, after every 6 months. So if this 10% you are getting annually, after 6 months, how much interest you will calculate? If it is 10% for the whole year, how much for the 6%, how much interest for the 6 months? It's very easy, common sense you can use. 10% is for 12 months, so for how much you will have for 6 months? And again you will be using the same everything, and I'm just copying it, pasting over here. Instead of this B or C, we can write 1. Please consider it. This is one part, and then this is your second part, and it was your third part for part A. And part B of the question was just to write value of the bond, whether it is at par, at discount, or at premium. So B part was solved by merging it. This is your C part, and for C part, what was his requirement? Let's show you again. Using 10% required rate of return. Here you can understand, if 10% was for 12 months, how much rate of interest would be for 6 months? So required rate of return is R, 10% for whole year, then half of this rate, that means 0.05, would be for biannual. These changes we are making for biannual. It is also called semi-annual. Okay, the rate would be used will be 5%, and the duration is 12 years. When you are using biannually, it means after every 6 months. How many biannuals in 1 year? If biannual duration is 6 months, how many biannuals will be for 1 year? Obviously, some of you will call it like 2 biannuals are present in 1 year. So how many biannual would be available for 12 years? Each year has 2, then 12 years will have 24. So n which you will use will be considered 24. So these are only two amounts which you will change. Let's edit it. Instead of rate which you have written is 10%, you will use 5%. 5% means 5 divided by 100 mean 0.05. So write down 0.05 over here. First element is going to be edited, and duration was written 12 years. Instead of years you will write biannuals, and in 12 years you have 24 biannuals. First part is settled. Now go to the second part. Here you have written rate of interest as 10%, but now for biannual it would be 0.05. So write down 0.05 over here. There are two decimals put over here typographically. Okay, two parts are completed. Now third part, again rate of interest you have used is 10%, but now 0.05 rate of interest will be used. Again 2 decimals has been put, and duration will be 24 biannuals instead of 12 years. So this way you have completed your formula. We will be taking calculated values as well, and will just change over here. Here what you will do, instead of 10% you will be writing 5%. Instead of 12 years you will write 24 as your biannuals. Then proceed next. This was 10%, change it 0.05%. In third part, go replace 10% with 0.05. Now change its duration. Instead of 12 years you are going to write 24. So here we have our formula which is edited. I need you to see it again. 1000 was the face value and you have used 0.05%. 24 is the period, again 0.5%, and then 1 minus 1.05, 1 divided by 5% and 24. So the value which you have calculated, we have to check it again if there is anything you want to edit it. Okay. So this is the first way with which you have calculated the value, 10%. Required rate of return was 10% and the year were 24. So another way to calculate the same procedure is to use the same rate of interest which you have calculated over here and change just the duration. This is your first part and you can use it for preparation of your second part as well. Okay, hopefully you have understood what I have said. 5% and 24. Here you can see it, the rate of return is 10%, but semi-annually you can use 10%, but with the years changed. Okay, let me handle it by myself. I am not willing to just deliver it to you without solution. So I will use it for second option. We'll write 10% as it is. Here you have your 10%. First part edited will remain 24 years as it is. This 5% will be converted 10%, and then you have finally 10% 24. Pick this value, copy it, and we are going to write over here and we'll edit it. Instead of 5%, you will use 10%. First part you have edited. In second part you are going to change 5% into 10%. In third part, instead of 5%, choose 10%. So here second value has been calculated. It is 820. This is, you may choose the above method or you may choose the method which is written downwards. So all three parts have been solved. We have used 10% and semi-annual pattern used in two different ways. If you have used semi-annually, rate of interest, as it was not mentioned that 10% is for whole year. So you have used semi-annual rate divided it by two parts, 5% and 24, and then 10% with 24. There is third option as well, but right now we are closing this question. You are needed to just be very careful and very attentive to this whole question. All parts have been solved out. ST 6.1 is completed. Make sure you are well prepared today to present it. Thank you very much for your time. We will see you again for the solution of any other question as well. Up till then, please take care, and I'm asking and requesting to pray for me as well. Thank you very much for your time. Allah Hafiz.